Welcome to the empowering world of Ladies Who Leap podcast, where brave souls share their remarkable journeys of venturing beyond their comfort zones to craft lives filled with passion and purpose. Tune in to hear the awe-inspiring tales of individuals who dared to defy their fears and embrace the unknown, paving the way for a future they truly adore. Welcome to the Ladies Who Leap podcast. Hi, thanks for joining Ladies Who Leap. Today, my guest is Laura Patac. She's an author and a poet. She is an entrepreneur and former corporate executive with over 2 decades of experience in global leadership. Having lived and worked in 7 countries across 5 continents, she brings a wealth of knowledge from culturally diverse environments and has spearheaded significant transformations in sales, operations, and product sectors worldwide. Laura is also the author of Stories with Purpose. And you know how much I believe in stories and how you can learn from them. So it's a book that shares her journey and insights to empower leaders who are readers to harness the power of their own narratives. Laura believes that staying relevant amidst evolving market and economic dynamics is crucial for leaders. Today, she empowers leaders to stay relevant through developing emotional intelligence and storytelling skills to connect meaningful and transform diverse generational workforce from overwhelmed to overachievers and from unsecured to unstoppable. Welcome, Laura.
Hello, and thank you, Lisa, for having me today. I think it's amazing how the power of your podcast is bringing value to your listeners and viewers. And I'm super excited to be today with you because I think that we have so many cool topics ahead, and I do believe that we are going to bring a bit of value to whomever is going to listen to you and to us.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I love it. You know, I always like to start with childhood in some way, right? So you discovered your creativity through poetry and storytelling early in life without realizing it would become your purpose later in life because you had a corporate, stint there for a while. So I'd love to hear about your early childhood memories of where did it all spark from?
Well, my childhood was a beautiful one. I had my parents, my friends in my country, and I'm Romanian, and I really want to say that. Even with those kind of troubling times in the 70s and 80s, I think family was one of the values. Though I was a very introverted child, and at one moment I realized that the way how I express my emotions on paper, journaling, when I think at that time we even didn't know about journaling, but just scribbling on paper, my emotions, how I felt at school, how I felt on the playground, how I feel about, that my grandmother was upset with me. So just as an introverted child, I was journaling all those, and still I was not very confident that I want to show them to someone. So therefore, what I did, I applied an encryption, and I encrypted everything in poetry. So my journaling became my poetry, and I started to share those poems when actually I went through some troubling times in my early teenage years. And my mom resonated a lot. So I think that was the moment when I connected with my mom very well. And my friends, they were excited about this ability to translate in something very emotional and very powerful some of my thinking. So long story short, my mom tapped into that potential, connected me with a critic, someone who could mentor me. And I really started to evolve and to brush up the style of, like, writing poetry, and the style of how I express my emotions in a much more polished way. Um, you know how it is that life gets in a way. So I put on the shelf for a while writing poetry, but the storytelling and the way how you can build metaphor and you can build a powerful story that inspires and connects with people's emotions, I still kept it in my back pocket. And that became a superpower, especially in the corporate environment, where storytelling was almost 70% of what I was doing.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a second because number one, I have to admit that when I was young, I was also introverted, and poetry was my way to get through the troubling times. It was actually a comfort. Yeah, so
You
I
see?
totally understand and even if you weren't big and prolific in it, it was my tool to be able to comfort myself by myself, to be able to put it on paper. And I have to credit, there was a woman by the name, a teacher, an English teacher by the name of Mrs. C, and she had us journaling every morning. And to look even back on that, I don't have those journals anymore. But to think about the fact that writing every day about my emotions, how I was feeling, what was going on, and you're a teenager, right? Your hormones are on fire. You're just, it's happening. This was like in middle school. It really taught me and made me appreciate writing in general and getting the things that are in your head on paper, because it was a way to almost release that tension and that anxiety
Exactly,
being a child.
exactly.
Yeah, I can totally relate.
So later on, I came across Julia Cameron's book, um, and there is a chapter talking about the morning reflections, and I came across that book. I think, like, 5-6 years ago, and reading the book, I was just smiling. I said, "Oh my God, if I was about to have this book, like, 30 years ago." uh, but nevertheless, I restarted journaling and consistently reflecting in the past 10 years. And that brought back the writing and the poetry. And that helped bringing my book to life. My first book, Stories with Purpose. I really need to start mentioning the name because I always say my book, but I don't say the name, which is weird.
Oh, and I want to put a little pause on that because the interesting thing is how you went from as a child getting into the poetry and the writing, and then you went into corporate America. So let's kind of go when you went into corporate America, but you took some of that with you, right? You kind of talked about that before I said something. So let's talk about that transition where you decided as an adult to make the decision to go and become a corporate executive working around the world, but where there was still something, that hint of that storytelling that you actually brought with you to make you more successful.
There were two phases, I must say, because Romania went through this absolutely transformative change in early 90s, moving from communism to capitalism. And most of the things, they were, as behaviors, they were very new to us. Speaking up, understanding democracy, and as someone coming with a specific mindset, when you are all the time quiet, you were pondering what you are saying, moving into a corporate America, that was a struggle, because it was a struggle for me to really understand the concept of speaking up. On top of that, not speaking my native language. So it took a couple of years to really understand how to navigate and how to understand what are those kind of behaviors, those kind of talents I have, which I can put them at work in creating behaviors. So it came out that in my I think in my first leadership role, which was, like, I would say, late late 90s, early 2000, when I had for the first time a team, I didn't really know what to do because there were no books. Now, right now, there is so much free value about leadership style, leadership archetypes. But at that time, everything was just building up. So the way how I started to create relationships within the team and with the team, it was through storytelling, sharing my previous experiences, asking questions, um, and asking people, what do you think about it? Because I understood very, very easily that I'm not the smartest cook in the room. So I think in leadership, more than 70% is storytelling, because feedback, a discussion with a team member is storytelling. Presenting in front of the board, presenting in front of a team, speak on the stage, that's storytelling. So I realized later on that I was tapping into my storytelling, my communication style through storytelling, but that was the talent which I accessed first. After that, I think I was just thinking about to learn more, because when you are in when you are in your first leadership role, and you have scared resources, because that was the situation that time. You have scared resources. You try to look into a role model. You try to understand what leadership is. I think my first question was, I'm in this role. I have these people looking up to me. What should I do? and and I just went to a former mentor, and I said, well, when you took your first leadership role, what did you do? So I think instinctively I went to understanding what other people experienced being in their first leadership role. What are their learnings? And this is storytelling. What are their learnings? What a bit of wisdom. And of course, nothing was like, perfect, but I tried to adjust, tapping into my talents and what I was good at. And I was good at connecting, communicating, storytelling. And later on, I realized that I'm also an achiever. So I think everyone going through a first leadership role, with all the free value which exists everywhere on LinkedIn, books, and there are so many good books. There is a support model which it's sort of a must, because the way how I'm looking is that definitely you need to look to a model, a mentor, a coach, someone who can coach you in with all the context, with all the information you have. You really need to start, understanding how your leadership role is going to shape. And the second thing will be taking some very good steps in understanding the team and really building a very good connection with your team, because a leader, first of all, relies on the team, and the team relies on the leader. It's a very strong connection. So coaching, understand the team, and also the external factors, the family, the friends, which will always be there, because stepping into a leadership role, there are different dynamics, and the way how you're going to spend your time is going to be very different, and your focus. So I think you really need to have this kind of, to build your support model, and to have this role model and coach which can guide you and can drive you through your first leadership role.
Yeah, your book, Stories with Purpose, really talk about storytelling as a powerful communication skill. And I believe when you're talking about someone who is a coach, it's in your sense, you being a coach to executives to tap into that storytelling because it is a powerful tool. Can you talk to the importance of storytelling as part of not only shaping who you are, how we teach others and our beliefs, but how it can be used in the corporate world really to make you a more effective leader?
Yeah, I would say like this. As a leader, storytelling can inspire and rally resources around a purpose. Um, I and I do believe that this is the one of the strongest purpose to use storytelling. And doing so, first of all, you as a leader, you need to believe in that purpose and to find the ways how you can be very attached and understand. And because the energy is not just the storytelling comes with an energy. And in the moment when you understand your audience and you understand and you connect with the purpose, you're going to find a way to bring your experiences as a leader, to bring a metaphor, to bring that kind of imagine that. So storytelling as an inspirational tool, it's one of the best. The other one is about rallying teams and rallying resources around. When you come as a leader and you really need to deliver an outcome and to really have the ability to engage the resources with the energy and with their talents. Another way of using storytelling in leadership, it's about influencing. Through storytelling, and this is especially like large stages, presentations, board presentations, the deck and any PowerPoint, which people might use, I call that a supportive material. And the story which goes beyond the slides, that is what actually makes people think and think. And you can really influence through storytelling. These are just a couple of examples which come up to my mind.
Yeah, because get the book and you will get all of the information. Now, going from the corporate world to an entrepreneur and author, that's a leap, right? This is women, ladies who leap. So we talk about that. That took a little bit of courage, I believe. Now you can talk to this. How did that happen? And how did that being aligned with your values, your purpose, how did that influence taking that leap and making it something you could actually believe in doing?
That's an entire story.
Well, that's okay. We got a little bit of time here.
So I'm very grateful for my corporate journey. I'll always be saying that. I think corporate journey helped me a lot in my resilience, becoming resourceful, living in so many countries. I totally embraced diversity, and I loved I love the people I've met, the perspectives I've got. So at one moment, I was thinking what I'm going to be doing with this kind of very rich input, because it's my experience, it's a very rich one, and I will always be grateful for it. So starting rewriting, starting writing again, not rewriting, starting writing again a couple of years back, I realized that writing is my happy place. I'll be very honest. When I write, I feel the best. I feel like I'm flying. Writing is my happy place. And I realized that I can really bring value through the stories I'm sharing. So I took this leap, living corporate life through a period of reconnecting with my purpose. In very simple words, was I was starting to question the things I'm doing and the place I'm in, if they are still connected with my purpose. And my purpose was always about the legacy, that bringing value, touching people's life, and incorporate. Of course, I touched many people's life. I worked with hundreds of people, but it was a different way of scaling that to the level that you can be much more impactful in when you put your stories and your experience to really help others to understand the power of their story. So I realized that I can become much more impactful through writing a book. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to do that. I got a push from a lady in a women's group, reading my poetry, and she was coming after a couple of long days, actually almost 2 weeks, with some feedback, and she was the one saying, you know what, you really need to publish. And I took it as a challenge. And the first manuscript was just poetry, but there is another thinking behind, coming from a bit of research. And what I realized that out of all the stories which we tell every day, 2 stories are extremely important for individuals, and that is your own story, your origin story, what brought you where you are today, and the other story, and the other stories are the stories we tell to ourselves here, because we have a lot of storytelling happening here, and it's within our head, right? So when I realized that, I said, well, poetry with the story inspiring that poem behind, but it's not just the story, it's a story with some learning, some reflections, what I learned through that experience, could really encourage readers to ask themselves some very mind-bending questions. So the book became a collection of 28 experiences encrypted in poetry, but after that, having the story behind, which is a space for readers of reflection and have the opportunity to answer some 2 mind-bending questions, which is going to help them to write their origin story and to find very interesting things about themselves. And I would say that this experience I had last Sunday. I must say that last Sunday, I met face to face one of my readers, finishing the book and experiencing the book. She wrote a review on Amazon UAE. Your listeners, your viewers can go and check it out. But what I was very impressed about is how her own story become a beautiful, sensible, emotional, vulnerable poem on which I cry over it. I simply cried over it. And that is the value, because her experience with the book, and she realized that she has so many superpowers, and she really went through some very important moments in life which were a demonstration of her talents and her abilities, which somehow got forgotten. They were not top of mind. So the book is also helping you to realize how powerful you are and what are those talents on which you can tap in more often, because they are yours and they make you who you are, and those are your superpowers.
That's funny, because I was just going to ask the philosophy and the journey that you take readers through with the book, and this is exactly an example of that. Hi, I'm Lisa Andria, emotional transformation specialist and host of the Ladies Who Leap podcast. I help women transform from stuck, scared, or lost to clear, confident, and reawakened. Helping women confidently take a leap to transform their lives is my passion. To learn more, go to ladieswholeap.com and set up a complimentary Let's Connect Leap strategy call. Thank you for tuning in to hear the awe-inspiring tales of individuals who dared to defy their fears and embrace the unknown, paving the way for a future they truly adore. Because leaping out of your comfort zone is where the growth happens. Remember to like, subscribe, or comment on the Ladies Who Leap podcast and whatever platform you are watching or listening to this podcast on. Now, let's get back to the interview. I mean, a lot of us women, as you know, we go through life taking care of everybody else, putting everything first. Or if we have a career, we're putting that first. We're not really putting ourselves first. And this book, from the way you're describing it, is a way to give you almost permission and exercises to tap back into who you are truly, to find what your purpose is, to find your superpower, so that the rest of your life you can use that to help as many people as possible if that's what you're about, or at least to live your life with your own unique values and make decisions and create beliefs that are around that. That means that your book is very powerful. To have affected someone like that, I can certainly understand why you would have cried reading her testimonial and her feedback. That is amazing. Who do you go to as a support system? So because obviously, this is fantastic. You're creating these stories, you have your purpose, but we're going to have those days where it's just not working. Who is that is your support system for assistance and inspiration?
For assistance and immediate support, like help, I do have a group of very close friends. They are very old relationships, less than 5. The kind of people with whom we work together in maintaining the relationship. Because this kind of relationship requires effort from both sides, especially when there is a distance, you don't see each other every day. And I believe that the reason why relationships lasted for so long, it's because at the level of core values, at the level we overlap at the level of core values, and we do complement each other in the same time. And those are the kind of friendships which very selfishly I wanted to keep it around, because they have the courage to tell me when I'm wrong. Mm. I appreciate when people are coming and saying, "Are you sure about that? Have you thought about it?" The relationship which helps me uncover very easily the blind spots, because we all have blind spots, or pulling me down to ground because we all are tempted to fly high. So my very close relationships, which keeps me grounded and gives me value, and it's a win-win situation. It's a give-receive. It's not just give. After that, I had the opportunity to connect with some very good coaches, and that's so for whomever is thinking personal growth, just reading a book, it's not enough. This is all what I'm saying.
It starts you, what I say always is to make a transformation and have personal growth, take the first step and have it. If it's a book, great, that's your first step. And then from there, you don't need to know every step when you start. Just start somewhere.
Yes. So I think having a coach, having a mentor, someone with whom you can discuss things which preoccupies you, and they are like, top of mind, and you really need a perspective, or you just want to start something and you don't know how to do it, you better learn it from someone who went that path before. I think that's very critical. And I joining mastermind, it helped me because they were like, there is so much knowledge, there is so much experience there, but there is also a blueprint which helps you succeed as entrepreneur. And I needed that, because the blueprint of corporate life with the blueprint of entrepreneur, they might have some commonalities or some, but it's a very different pace. It's a very different ball game altogether. And I would say the third support, which people might not think when they are in corporations, I do believe it's important to have a very good network to tap into, especially when you need to problem solve for something, where you really need to have an information, and that gives you the connection with what's happening in the industry, what's happening in a certain geography. um, you can create visibility, you can influence. There is an opportunity for customers or prospects. So if I'm to summarize, the support model which I really had to build was keep having my close relationships, call it family of choice, right? My family of choice, very close. Have some very good coaches in my life, and also tapping and building a network which helps you to drive your objective, to drive my objectives, my goals, and gives me the information, the resources, what I need to move on.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think we talked about the importance of saying no and in self-care and a woman's journey of transformation. So we're going to end, before we get into their favorite quote, mantra, or positive affirmation, I wanted to touch on that. I believe we spoke about that because I do have a note about it. Do you remember or recall it?
Yes. Saying no, it came with a struggle at a moment, at a certain moment in my life. It was the moment in corporations where in corporate life where I wanted to demonstrate, I wanted to maximize my visibility, and I wanted to take the most impossible tasks on my plate, because I'm a problem solver. That comes with a downside that you can burn out very easily. Your day is 24 hours. Nowadays, I'm always questioning. I make a decision of taking in a new project, even a new client, even looking into a new partnership. I make a decision asking myself, if I take this client partnership, if I make this decision, how this is going to help where I want to go, or how this is serving my purpose. And that is, for me, very easily, without using Eisenhower matrix is important, urgent and so on, but very easily having a first prioritization. Is it serving? Is it not serving? Is it aligned or is not aligned? Is it going to be a distraction making this decision, or is it going to come with some benefits? So I think saying no, it's an exercise. Everyone should start exercising this and see what is the mechanism of thinking about saying no. Is not just like no, I'm just saying no. No, it has to be a bit of prioritization. And the other thing is that you can say yes in your conditions. And this is another thing, because sometimes you might not have the bandwidth, but you see that opportunity or that client, that partnership, that event might play very well in what you are doing, but you don't have the bandwidth. You might simply make the decision saying yes in your condition, saying, well, I'll be happy to do that, but I will be doing that starting with that date, or I can allocate only like, an hour a day, or you really need to be very clear on what you are able to put at work if you're going to take that that into your life, into your business. So my view on this is that people, they just need to start exercising and have like critical thinking, have prioritization, and really just don't get excited. Everything is exciting nowadays. You want to do that, you want to do this, and especially someone like me, I get excited about cool ideas like all the time. So I really need to put a bit of stopper on what I'm doing. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. The power of no. And a lot of it has to do with knowing what your unique values are and then keep aligning yourself and reminding yourself this is what your values are. But I love that whole explanation. That was really helpful. So we get to the point where you're going to share your favorite quote, mantra, or positive affirmation with our audience. And I feel like it just sums everything up together and sometimes can have such a powerful impact to those that are listening.
Yeah, I'm changing the quotes time to time depending on how I feel, but my positive affirmation and my mantra, they stay the same. So which one you want me to share?
You have something you said that was from your book.
Yes, this is a quote from my book, and this brings the conversation all the way back at the beginning when we were talking about journaling, reflections, and the importance of journaling. So I'm just gonna read from the book. So what I was saying on page 27 is that reflection transforms passive absorption into active engagement.
Say that again. I want everybody.
So reflection transforms passive absorption of information, of anything, of like absorption of emotions into active engagement. Because through reflection, when you put things on writing and you are saying, I did this and I experienced that and I felt like this, and sometimes you say, what should I do with all that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that journaling has this kind of power that with a bit of questioning yourself about what I learned out of it. Is this something which I would like to see more often? Journaling has the power to identify some of our talents, some of our strengths, and it can drive action in a sense that if you see a pattern, you see, oh my God, I was so resilient. I was so good. I was so proud of myself, of that achievement. What brought that achievement? What I used, how that made me feel. Do I want to see more of that? What if I do more of that? So the way how I'm looking to the reflection is that it transforms all this absorption of like information, words, pages, and so on. It could have the opportunity to transform into an action.
That's fantastic. That's really not only just a piece of information, but a really good advice on how to use your reflection and how to use what you've learned in life. Because we all learn everyday experiences, bad experiences, good experiences. Everything is a lesson. It's the journey of life. Well, how do people get in touch with you? What is an easy way to get in touch with you? And I'll add, information about the book. Yeah.
So LinkedIn is my main communication channel. And I love connecting, exchanging thoughts. People DM me on LinkedIn. Of course, I do have a website as well, and you're gonna have all the details. And definitely, they could also tell us how valuable this podcast is, because when you're gonna have it, I'm gonna look at the comments, and I'm gonna look into what is their opinion about it. And I love to connect with them and see the reactions also through your channels.
So what is your name show on LinkedIn, just to make sure that we share that, since that's the main.
Is the same name which is on the book. It's Laura Patac.
Okay.
There. And I'm super grateful always when I get invited to podcasts like yours, Lisa, because I believe that every shared story has the power to shape someone's self-story, yeah, or someone's success. And I do believe that with all our conversation and going back and forth, and the stories we are sharing, the good questions you are asking, if people might find one thing which they take away, that's very valuable for us.
That is my complete belief about this and purpose with the Ladies Who Lead podcast. So thank you for saying that. That is absolutely true, and I believe that wholeheartedly. Thank you so much, Laura, and just so you guys know, Laura's coming in from the UK, so it was later in the evening for her, and I really appreciate it. I'm glad that we connected. And I'm glad that you were able to share the information. And for those of you listening, please make comments about how this affected you, and subscribe and like and follow and all of those things. And in whatever platform you're listening or watching on, like on my YouTube channel. Thank you again, Laura. I really appreciate
it. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for listening.
Ciao.
Thanks so much for listening or watching. Please subscribe to the Ladies Who Lead podcast to be notified of new episodes. And I would love to hear from you. Let me know what works, what doesn't, and if you have a story to tell, please reach out. Come join the Leap community at the Ladies Who Leap Club Facebook group. Remember, leaping out of your comfort zone is where the growth happens.